Hey, adrenaline junkies. Welcome to Mind Rush. This is where chaos meets speed, and every second is a pulse-pounding ride you won't want to miss. We've got mind-blowing chases, insane stunts, and non-stop action that'll have you glued to the screen. Ready to feel the rush? Dale Shrewsbury is no stranger to the Marion County Sheriff's Office. At 35 years old, he'd already been arrested 13 times since 2006. His favorite crime? Driving on a suspended license, something he'd been caught doing 3 times already. But on August 11th, 2022, Dale decided to up the ante. This time, it wasn't just a suspended license. He stole a car in Ocala, Florida, a city nestled between Orlando and Gainesville. When police tried to pull him over, Dale, true to form, had no intention of complying. He floored it, but when it became clear he couldn't outrun the cops on the street, he took the chase off-road. It seemed like a clever move at first. The larger police SUV struggled to navigate through the thick trees and brush. But Dale didn't account for one thing: a K-9 unit hot on his trail.
You might be getting ready to bail.
Alright, you just turn around northbound 23 territory. Still northbound 4400 line, transfer from 41st place.
Airline. 51 911, you look up 38th Street.
How about the 20, around about the 3000 block, you just hit it, stay by.
Switching to B.
29 floors, they're trying to fit again, no success. Pulling near yard, 3000 block.
The officer in the K-9 car wasn't about to give up that easily. He tore through a dirt path, determined to intercept Dale as he emerged from the woods. Desperate to stay ahead, Dale flew across people's lawns, smashed through fences, and sent debris flying everywhere. He almost slipped away, disappearing behind a house for a brief moment. The moment Dale's stolen car came to a crashing stop, Florida Highway Patrol officers spotted 2 cars tearing down Interstate 4, a blazing orange Ford Mustang and a sleek white Porsche Panamera. They were weaving between cars and pushing their speeds past 120 miles per hour. What started as a joyride turned into a full-blown police pursuit. To the officers' surprise, the driver of the Mustang made a smart move. He pulled over and decided to face the consequences. But the Porsche, the driver had a different plan. He stomped on the gas and took off, leaving the Mustang and the officers in the dust. For a moment, it seemed like the pursuing officer was gearing up for a pit maneuver. But with traffic piling up, he had to think twice. A pit at these speeds could spell disaster for everyone on the road. Instead, the officers kept their distance, waiting for the right moment. And then, that moment came. The highway cleared, and they closed in, trying to box the Porsche in and end this chase once and for all. Just as it seemed the driver was trapped, he swerved and peeled away, narrowly escaping their grasp. He sped back up the highway, nearly vanishing into the darkness. But the officer wasn't letting him go. They followed as the Porsche exited the interstate and veered into a rural area. With no other drivers at risk, the officers weren't afraid to get a little more aggressive. They finally managed to force the Porsche to a stop, pinning him down. Both men were arrested. Details about their identities and charges remain scarce, but one thing is clear. What started as a reckless race ended in a dangerous chase that could have had deadly consequences. Hopefully, the passenger turned out okay, and as for the driver, maybe now he's learned that street racing is no game. It's a fast track to ruining lives, including his own. June 27, 2023, Arkansas. It all started when a 911 call came in, reporting a car dangerously speeding near Pine Bluff, Arkansas. By the time Sergeant Preston caught up, it was clear that Casey had no intention of stopping. He blew past another officer parked on the shoulder, who immediately joined the chase. This wasn't just a case of a lead foot. Casey's reckless driving put everyone around him at risk. He swerved in and out of lanes, showing little regard for human life. Sergeant Preston, positioned in the lead SUV, knew they needed to end this pursuit before things spiraled out of control. With the situation growing more dangerous by the second, Sergeant Preston zeroes in, looking for any opening to end it, and then he sees his chance. Casey's Lincoln spins out, screeching to a stop. Officers move in fast, guns drawn. Casey is quickly pulled out of the vehicle, ending the harrowing chase. He's cuffed and booked on charges of reckless driving and fleeing from law enforcement. Why did he run? That's still a mystery. No weapons, no drugs, nothing to suggest a clear reason for his dangerous decision. If Casey had simply pulled over, he could have slept in his own bed that night instead of a cold jail cell. But in the heat of the moment, he made his choice. And now, he's paying the price for a senseless chase that easily could have ended in tragedy. When people flee from the police, it's usually because they're hiding something big, a warrant, drugs, or worse. But Jacqueline Maxon from Sunrise, Florida, wasn't your typical suspect. On March 29, 2024, Miami-Dade officers spotted her car zigzagging through traffic like a NASCAR driver on a mission. They flipped on the lights, but Jacqueline had other plans. She wasn't stopping for anyone. She punched the gas, squeezing through gaps in traffic, but congestion kept her from making a clean getaway.
Pull over right now. Pull over right now. BMW, pull over right now.
Our officer closed the distance as Jacqueline, in a panic, pulled up right behind another cop car, unwittingly boxing herself in. But this Florida woman was determined to make a run for it. Weaving and darting between more cars, she managed to slip past yet another police cruiser, leading officers on a wild chase across multiple counties. It was a high-stakes pursuit until officers finally got into position and decided to end it with a risky pit maneuver. From a trailing dash cam, we see it all go down. The crash spun Jacqueline's car into chaos, colliding with at least 2, maybe 3 other vehicles. Miraculously, no one was seriously hurt.
okay? You purse? Why would you run?
I'm just trying to go to Easter Sunday with my mom.
That's dumb. All right, come on. That's a good reason. Why would you run? Take the car.
Okay, listen to me real quick. I know it was stupid. But let me ask you, why?
I don't know. I just wanted to go fast.
You just wanted to go fast, and you didn't want to stop for the troopers.
When it was all over, officers asked her the one burning question: why did she run? Her answer? The worst excuse they'd ever heard. Turns out Jacqueline wasn't on the run from the law. She was just running late for church. Seriously. Her reckless speed crusade earned her a handful of charges: reckless driving, eluding police, and resisting arrest. So let this be a lesson. Whatever your reason, it's never worth running from the cops. Because no matter how fast you are, you can't outrun the consequences. November 9th, 2023. Florida Highway Patrol gets the call. A pursuit is already underway. 4 shoplifters just made off with $2,500 worth of merchandise from a Kohl's in Homestead, Miami-Dade County. A U-Haul van speeding north up the turnpike. Inside are Jamal Stennett, McCall Wilson, Shanika Gordon, and Norbert Baugh, all in their late 30s. The group had pulled off the heist by parking the van in the emergency lane outside the Kohl's. Their plan? McCall and Shanika acted as lookouts while Stennett and Baugh piled clothes and shoes into their carts. With over $2,500 worth of goods, they bolted out the door and hurled everything into the van. An officer tried to intercept them, but McCall floored it in reverse, smashing into the squad car. That's when the chase kicked off. They could have surrendered and faced lighter charges. Instead, they were willing to risk everything just to hang on to a few pairs of shoes. Let's switch perspectives to Corporal Sierra, who swoops in for the final pit maneuver. His timing is flawless. The van spins out, and officers move in to make the arrests. In the end, all 4 suspects were apprehended and slapped with shoplifting charges. But McCall, being the driver and the one who rammed an officer's vehicle, faced the harshest penalties: fleeing, battery, and reckless driving. For a few stolen clothes and shoes, they risked it all. Now they're facing consequences that'll last far longer than any shopping spree ever would. And then there's Travis Lovett, a man who seemed destined to stay on the wrong side of the law. Fresh out of jail in 2017, he wasted no time getting back into trouble. By April 25, 2019, Travis was on the run again, this time in a stolen pickup truck. When Citrus County deputies tried to stop him in Floral City, he attempted to run them over. That's when Florida Highway Patrol jumped in, and Travis decided to take the chase off-road. With dirt flying and adrenaline pumping, Travis narrowly avoided 2 crashes and pulled off a dangerous move. The pursuing officer, nearly causing a major collision. But things got even crazier. Cornered and desperate, the pursuit ended in chaos as Travis lost control, crashing the truck and being ejected from the vehicle. After recovering in the hospital, he was booked on 2 counts of aggravated assault and 3 counts of attempted homicide on a police officer, 1 for each shot he fired at them. The final verdict? 50 years in state prison. August 12, 2018. Greenfield, Wisconsin. What started as a routine traffic stop for Jorge Ornelas quickly spiraled into chaos. The 26-year-old from Milwaukee hit the gas, fleeing officers at 112 miles per hour in a 35 miles per hour zone. Swerving through traffic with no regard for anyone's safety, Jorge tried to outmaneuver police. Determined to end the chase, officers attempted a pit maneuver, but it went wrong. SUV flipped onto its side. Backup arrived immediately, and officers pulled him out of the wreckage, though not seriously injured. But that doesn't mean he got away with it. Ornelas was far from free.
Right away. It's going to be in front of Zablocki. It's a squad rollover 167. Send him in.
Later that day, police tracked him down and arrested him for reckless driving and injuring an officer. A wild ride that ended in cuffs, proving you can't outrun the law forever. Florida Highway Patrol Officer Vanessa Franceschi was wrapping up what seemed like a routine traffic stop on the Florida Turnpike. She'd already collected the driver's information and was back in her patrol car doing the paperwork. Everything was calm and under control until disaster struck. Out of nowhere, her patrol car was violently rammed from behind. The impact jolted her forward. Startled and confused, she looked up to see a silver sedan speeding away. But here's what's odd. After slamming into her car, he didn't just disappear into the distance. Instead, Rommel waited. He let valuable seconds tick by before the chase even began. Trooper Franceschi, stunned from the collision, took about 20 seconds to pull onto the road and begin the pursuit. And in a high-speed chase, 20 seconds might as well be an eternity. Rommel could have easily put a mile or 2 between them. Instead, it seemed like he wanted her to follow, to chase him. Almost as if this entire thing was some twisted game to him.
Southbound on the turnpike, Mount Barbara 29. It's a Honda Civic. The 20 out of floor is Echo, November. Yankee, 3-1, driving on the shoulder.
Police later confirmed that Rommel didn't just hit her vehicle by accident. He did it on purpose. In an instant, Trooper Franceschi found herself in a high-speed pursuit as Rommel shot down the shoulders of the turnpike, reaching speeds over 100 miles per hour. With the crowded highway and merging lanes up ahead, the chase turned downright dangerous. Rommel hugged the shoulder, swerving to avoid vehicles stuck in gridlock traffic as 2 major highways began to converge. He weaved through the chaos, cutting through narrow gaps between cars, and daringly skirting along the concrete barriers. When officers finally boxed him in and brought the chase to an end, Rommel was arrested and charged with aggravated battery on a law enforcement officer and fleeing the scene of an accident. Fortunately, Trooper Franceschi escaped with only a minor back injury. But looking back at that moment of impact and everything that followed, it's clear Rommel wasn't just trying to get away. He was baiting the police into a dangerous pursuit. What could have been a quick arrest turned into a reckless chase that put countless lives at risk, all because one young man wanted to turn a highway into his personal racetrack. February 23rd, 2016. An agent with the Oklahoma Bureau of Narcotics is stationed alongside a construction zone on I-40, keeping an eye out for speeders. His radar gun picks up a 2012 gray Ford Focus doing 61 miles per hour in a 55 miles per hour zone. It's not a huge violation, but in an active construction area, even a few extra miles per hour can turn deadly in an instant. The driver pulls over, and everything seems routine. The officer tells Andrew that he's only planning to issue a warning for the speeding. But he'd like Andrew to step out and wait by the cruiser while he runs his information. That's when Andrew makes his first mistake. As he exits the vehicle, the officer notices a suspicious movement. Andrew slips something under his jacket. The officer's senses are on high alert. Suddenly, Andrew pulls a pistol from his waistband.
Right now. Oh, man. Have you lost your mind? On the ground. Oh, don't you dare. On the ground.
In a desperate bid for freedom, he makes a run for it. The officer fires his taser, but Andrew somehow withstands the shock, jumps back into his car, and tears off down the highway. In his haste, he accidentally pops his trunk, adding to the chaos as it flaps wildly behind him. The pursuit is on. Officers stay on his tail for only about 20 seconds before attempting a pit maneuver to bring this chase to a swift end.
Like he has deployed his taser well. One time, but one life now. We have our eastbound.
Somebody go back there and get that gun off the side of the road. He pulled the gun on me. I'm taking him now.
Take headquarters, we're at 80 miles an hour.
Andrew, miraculously, manages to regain control and continues speeding down I-40, dodging civilian vehicles and police alike.
Headquarters, we're back at it. Still eastbound.
Come on.
Clear. I need a vehicle description. I want to go get return out of Ocean Door, Union 10 on Florida.
While trying to use an off-ramp to shake his pursuers, Andrew loses control. His car skids violently off the road, crashing into a line of trees. A thorough search of the car reveals 2 more guns and several knives stashed throughout the vehicle. Andrew kept saying he just wanted to go home that day. But instead, his destination was a jail cell with a heap of felony charges waiting for him. A wild day on the road in Poland turned into a story of sheer disbelief when a car launched off a roundabout like a rocket. Let's see that again. It's like the roundabout was a launch pad, going 87 miles per hour. And guess what? Despite the crazy crash, the driver walked away with just minor injuries. Unreal. A miracle or just pure luck? Either way, this guy's got a story no one's topping at the bar. Thanks for riding the adrenaline wave with us here at Mind Rush. If you're hungry for more heart-pounding action and edge-of-your-seat excitement, don't go anywhere, because we're just getting started. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more mind-blowing moments coming your way soon.